The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good evening this morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Wednesday, the 27th of November, 2024, and you are on the clock with Erin Greene. Now, I know we are awaiting the beginning of the Prime Minister's statement in the House of Assembly, so let's be prepared for a quick switch in the conversation to focus on that. A little housekeeping. I want to remind everyone that we are on day 3 of the Global 16 Days campaign, Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. Tomorrow evening at National Art Gallery of the Bahamas, a discussion, Rage as a Catalyst, with Erica Robinson. That's tomorrow evening, 6 to 8 p.m. Also, tomorrow evening at the Dundas Black Box Open Mic and Improv Special. We're having a fundraiser for the Dundas. Come out. Judah the Lion is our featured performer. Judah the Lion is our featured performer. And I had the pleasure of going to a concert on the port, a little mini concert on the port. I mean, the music was anything but mini, right? At the wine bar. It was a wonderful time, and you should come and hear Judah and his new music. Again, Thursday, tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day, so if you come into the Dundas, bring your Tupperware. Bring you to have a meeting. We're having a TOTAS meeting. That's the TOTAS Organization for Thanksgiving Education and Research and Socials. Bring your Tupperware, and hopefully you bring it full of food. I realize y'all people forget how to tote. So that's the housekeeping for the morning. There's lots in the headlines, and I know what y'all been talking about all morning. The Guardian headline, indicted, payments charged as U.S. indictment unsealed, accused in mass operations. The Tribune headline, The Tribune headline says, quote, it's a little like quotation mark, right? Politician paid $2 million in cocaine scheme, close quote. That's the headline in today's Tribune. And then there's another story. I come into your text right now, texter. This may add to the weight of your statement. There's another story that hit the airwaves this morning. In fact, this story I'm looking at was posted on November the 25th. Project Churchill disrupts local gang activity. Hamilton Police Service, Hamilton Regional Police Service, OPP and CISO are announcing the results of Project Churchill, which targeted a Hamilton-based street gang responsible for violent criminal activity across southern in Canada. In 2019, Hamilton police noted a significant rise in violent crime linked to a street gang operating in Hamilton's downtown core. The group, self-identified as the Hot Mali Squad, has been connected to drug trafficking, robberies, daytime shootings, and homicides. Based primarily in Hamilton, the group has recently expanded to neighboring jurisdictions, including Brantford, Halton, Waterloo, and Toronto. Now, you may be asking me, well, why am I reading this article today? It goes on. Project Churchill led to the discovery that HMS, I think that's Hot Mali Squad, was operating as a criminal organization and had built strong links with members of the Dirty South operating in the GTA. The Dirty South is a faction of the Bahamian-based street gang known as One Order. The investigation revealed that local Dirty South members are involved in the distribution of illegal firearms obtained in the United States. Full stop. Wow, 24 people were charged. I think there were 172 charges across the board. Wow, okay, I'm going to go to the text line. Okay. When the wicked rule, there is turmoil in the land. The PLP administration even ain't seemed focused on peace, order, and good governance. They deflecting from every issue and worrying about the FNM and election. Watch for Fred Mitchell rant today. The House needs to be dissolved today. Time for a new government. Well, something is going on at the House. I'm going to stick a pin for a moment. If I seem out of breath, it's because I had to pick up my car and carry it the last mile to the Guardian. There are extreme traffic delays on Shirley Street in the northeastern portion of New Providence heading into Nassau City proper. Yes, I had to pick up my car, put it on my back, and I mean, I can be honest with you, I walked most of the way here to get to work, and I was barely on time. I heard that there is a protest going on in town, and that is what caused these massive traffic delays. It would have been great if the division was mobilized, right, to patrol up and down Shirley Street, advising motorists to divert and choose an alternate route and indicating exactly what the cause of the delay was. Good morning. Here's the text. Erin, happy Community Service Week. I saw the PM made a proclamation last week in the Tribune. Did say 25-30 TG is community. 25th to the 30th is Community Service Week. The country needs this. Let's help each other. Thank you for that wonderful text. Another text, morning, Erin, this is one police case ain't going away. Ain't like the Michael Johnson case, plenty head will roll. Now listen, you can't say that the Michael Johnson case went away. All we could say is that the Minister of National Security indicated to the public that he's not involved in the investigation. So he can't tell us if the results, the conclusion of the investigation will be made public. So that's exactly right. So let's be careful, because the Commissioner of Police insists that an investigation took place. He insists. We take him on his word. The real question is, how will we know it took place if we are not given access to the results of the investigation? Good morning, Erin. Traffic was horrible coming over Blue Hill Road. Tonique Williams, Darling was a mess, backed up from one roundabout to the next. Yeah, man, absolutely. See, I had said to my station manager that I don't like talking about these high-profile cases. I mean, they're in the paper, we can talk about them. I read from the paper today. I don't like talking about them. And when there's an alternate, I'd rather take that. For instance, I want to say this again. If you are concerned about the devolution or what appears to be a degradation in the police force, right? Like if you were concerned what appears to be a crisis, right? A crisis of dysfunction in the police force. We don't need an investigation to interrogate that critically and thoroughly, We don't need this indictment or the results of this case to be able to investigate that thoroughly, I put to you, Bahamian people, that all of us, well, the vast majority of us, are equal experts in traffic. And we could look at the devolution of traffic alone to examine every single issue that arises in both of these cases. Yep, that's all I saying, right? See, I say this thing. You can't drive on Johnson Road like you drive on Kelly Lane. You can't drive on Shirley Street like you drive on Johnson Road. And you can't drive on JFK like you drive on Shirley Street. Yesterday, on my way home from work, I was on East. I know this is a little shortcut to take you through town and miss out most of the traffic, right? So I was on East Street, about to enter Bay Street. The tow truck in front of me was so impatient that he started entering the intersection before his light turned green. The light turns green and he goes. I enter the intersection and I pause for a second because I realized that the car on Bay Street that's supposed to be stopped at their red light is actually moving. See, that's supposed to stun you, you know. When you see that, you're supposed to say, oh my gosh, what's happening? And I said, oh my gosh, what's happening? I cleared the intersection and I realized that that vehicle just ran the stop sign at like 3 miles an hour. And then I realized that some Bahamians think that if you run the stop sign at 3 miles an hour, you ain't running the stop sign. And then I looked at the plate on the vehicle and it started with EX. It started with EX53. If you know your car from Exuma in Nassau, go check on it. Hit the tag button and see, like, say, Alexa, is my car okay? Because that person driving like they from the family island and ain't nobody tell them you can't drive in New Providence like you drive in the family islands. Well, second thing I observed this morning, I was behind a vehicle making, 10 miles an hour up Wolf Road at peak traffic time when people trying to get to work. No problem. They was eating their peanuts. How I know they was eating their peanuts? Because they was throwing all their trash on the ground, right? How do I know that they were distracted? I know that they were distracted because they veered into the opposite lane into the path of a police vehicle. And then they quickly righted themselves, and then the police vehicle just kept driving like nothing ever happened. See, that's the part right there. That the police kept driving happened. Here's another text. Erin, according to the Prime Minister, the biggest threat to the Bahamas is climate change and not, for example, potholes in the road, police corruption, or crime and murders. I argue to you that it is none of those things. The biggest crisis in the threat to the Bahamas is an administrative crisis. It's an administrative crisis. Let me give you an example. And, we're going to do, it's open line till we go to the Prime Minister, right? I want you guys keeping it kind of light because at some point we're going to transition to the House of Assembly and we're going to wait to hear the Prime Minister's words on this matter, right? But our biggest threat is an administrative crisis. Wow. Here's a text. It says, listen up, Marks. 2 cops caught playing drug kingpin, question mark. Question mark. That's the harsh reality of power corrupting from the inside. A system built on false heroes always crumbles. These badge-wearing criminals thought they were untouchable. Now they're going down like jabronis in the main event. Cold, hard truth. Stick a pin. Allegations. Even profile instances like this, these are still allegations. The indictment, right? All of that information in the indictment still needs to be brought before a court. Let us be very careful, although I appreciate the sentiment shared. We could go to the phone line in a second. Producer, text says, boy, I tell you, we tingsy. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How you doing, Erin?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Listen, I admire what you do, and sometimes people fail to make the connection between what you talk about, these crime matters, and what's happening in the country today.
Mm-hmm.
All right? When you fail to sweat the small stuff, this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
All right? People, I mean, on a daily basis, I thought they were addressing this issue with no license plate, right?
Right.
And so fortunately, there's the car that you saw going past had a license plate and you could identify it.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that was a serious crime and it didn't have a license plate? The police are just moving about lazy affair, ignoring cars without license plate. But I understand what their problem is. The government is complicit in this.
Let's do this. Be careful to not attribute to malice or malfeasance what is probably incompetence, right?
Okay.
Did they still failing?
I mean,
They still failing.
Point blank, and you. I mean, it leads to exactly what I said today. When you ignore the small stuff, so I could drive without the license plate. Mm-hmm. Why can't I drive without the license? Why can't I drive without the insurance?
Listen, we accept people running stop signs now, right? Like they ain't got no good sense. Everybody know when you come to a stop sign, you're supposed to stop entirely, completely for a minimum of 3 seconds to make sure the roadway is clear, and then you exit, right? Bahamians have convinced themselves and attempt to convince others that you don't have to come to a complete stop, right? Like you could roll right through a stop sign, and everybody say, well, that ain't no big deal. You know
right.
you know what it has led to? Mm-hmm. 2 days ago, I'm on the main road. I have the right of way. There is enough space for a vehicle who had been stopped at the stop sign to enter the roadway, right?
Right.
Without interfering with my right of way, without obstructing me or causing me to slow down.
Right.
The vehicle automatically behind them. Mm-hmm. And when I blow my horn, because I blow my horn to prevent an accident, right? That's what you blow your horn for, to prevent an accident. Yeah. The person asked me what I was doing. Can't you see I was coming out the corner? Everybody say, oh, you don't worry about them rolling through the stop sign now. This boy looked at me and tried to convince me that he was stopped at the stop sign because he was stopped behind the vehicle that was actually at the stop sign.
Yeah.
You see how the slippery slope?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I honestly, I need to lay the blame at the head, right? Mm-hmm. And be it complicit, incompetence, or whatever. I don't see how the person responsible for producing license plate could be comfortable or make a joke about it in the House of Assembly, or just blow it off. Mm-hmm. That I mean, it's been 6 months plus since the beginning of the year. Cars are driving without license plate. I think this is an egregious offense, and it should be dealt with immediately. I mean, it's egregious.
And here's why there's like an extra urgency for the state and the Royal Bahamas Police Force to act, right? Mm-hmm. A while back, they passed this law that said if you're involved in an accident, right?
Right.
You can collect each driver's information.
I remember that.
And you have to report it to the police, but you don't have to wait on the scene for the police. What if I get hit by a car that have no plate?
Exactly. I mean, it's difficult enough to track cars when they have plate. But now you tell it, and the police are just going by casually. I mean, again, I can't blame them, but it has to go to the head. That's why I'm saying it has to go to the head.
Thank you very much, Thank you. And let's talk about the you can't blame them part. See, a real threat is an administrative crisis. The Royal Bahamas Police Force been on go slow for a minimum of 30 years. Yeah? See, I was reading in the Punch for years, police on go slow. Police protested. But you didn't need the Punch, because if you were observing what was happening around you, you could see that devolution, right? You could see that generation after generation, the police culture devolved to the point where officers don't know what it is they supposed to be doing. Like, they don't know that all police officers are traffic officers, right? And the perspective they come to is like, well, the boy responsible for the accident, right? Like, the boy... But what are not responsible for the accident and are relying on the police to come and do their jobs, not just to protect our property, right? But now our interests in our property, but now to protect us. To protect us. Here's another thing about this attitudinal thing, right? Like, if you commit an offense, why are you rearing up at other people? Like if you like what happened to me yesterday, an individual ran a stop sign in front of me. Now, whenever somebody runs a stop sign, the first thing I presume is that they have an emergency. Simple. We're in a developing country. We don't have the trinkets that other people have, right, to make their life easier. So when something happens, you may have to get home to deal with it. So anytime someone runs a stop sign in front of me, the first thing I presume it's an emergency. The second thing I presume is they didn't see me, so I blow my horn to make you aware that you entered a lane of moving traffic. So what happened yesterday is the person ran the stop sign, entered the lane in front of me, and then dropped their speed to 7 miles an hour to cruise up the road. We've got horrible attitudes in this country about law and order. Here's a text, man, Erin, I had the horrors 2 nights ago coming from the old sports center after picking up my son from track practice, 6:15 p.m. It was dark. That person came around the bend like they was from the Fast and the Furious on the right lane and the car was coming. Thought they was going to hit head on. We started screaming. I imagine he came from the sports center to pick up just like yesterday. See, I just telling y'all, right? A listener, I don't know if he listens. Maybe he listened to me on Facebook. He responded to something I said. It sounds like you one of these same bad drivers, like, because you're the only one who's seeing it. And then I explained to him that perhaps he doesn't understand what driving is about. But if you don't see anything on the road, then what are you doing? Perhaps your head is in your phone. Here's a text. Erin, police cars don't come to a complete stop I've seen. Come on, Erin. You know signs in the Bahamas are just to look good. You know we just pretend we are a real country. Come on, Erin. You know we have fun around here. Yeah, we have fun until you sit back and you realize that a young Haitian boy, a small child, was killed by a hit-and-run driver. And when the driver was found, the driver was fined $400. $400 for the life of a child. We're all having fun until it is our child, our mother, our grandmother who is seriously injured or killed in an accident. Ms. Greene, you have an accident on Shirley Street by Auto Mall causing massive obstruction. No police is on the scene. Royal Bahamas Police Force. See, that's what caused the block up this morning. That accident is likely what caused the block up this morning. I can tell you all another story. Producer, Prime Minister ain't ready yet. No problem. When he ready, I ready. It's a big story. I'll get to it in a moment if we don't go to the feed before the break. I was traveling on Shirley Street to turn onto Church Street. I was coming from Mackey Street, so I had to endure a number of vehicles turning right on red on Shirley and Mackey, from Mackey to Shirley westbound. Right on. You know, there's no such thing as right on red in the Bahamas. How easily we are influenced by the dominant culture next to us. So I'm in the right lane. I'm preparing to turn onto Church Street. I put on my turn signal. A motorcycle comes up in the middle. You know, they like to create a third lane and then act like it's legal, but they know it's not legal. All of you cyclists, all know. So I put on my turn signal. This scooterist with a passenger comes up on the side of me, and they begin turning right before I begin turning. So I blow my horn. Why? Because you want to be in the same place that I am going to be in at the same time. Science says that I am going to take the charge for that. So I blew my horn and I hit my brakes. The response of the boy on the scooter to turn and cuss at me. I swear I said to him, so what, next time I should knock you down then? That space right there is also a problem because the lawless will do whatever they want. The people exiting Auto Mall pretending like they have the right of way. The people in the left lane trying to turn across the right lane to get to church, to get to Bay. Y'all ain't serious. Erin, quote, allegations. Yes, but we have to prefix with the words, quote, credible evidence, close quotes. A senior police officer is currently arrested after it is alleged, I can put the alleged in, okay, Texter? After it's alleged that they offered the use of government and police planes flying to the U.S. and showing up in person and $1 million cash bribe and Text, I ain't even reading. I gonna hold it to after the break. I'm gonna take it to the legal team and see if I could read it out loud. We're going to a break, and then when we get back from the break, did you get an opportunity to submit an item for the National Time Capsule Concealment Ceremony? I wonder if the budget of the expenditure report for the Golden Jubilee is going to be put inside the National Time Capsule. You're on the clock with Erin Greene. Stay tuned to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Just sign in and have a seat, please. They'll call you in for your x-ray shortly.
That's why they call it a waiting room. You won't have that problem at Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor. We never schedule multiple appointments, so you'll be in and out in no time. And if your initial screening reveals a concern, our radiologist can conduct an alternative screening right then and there. Call 328-8157 to schedule an appointment at Fourth Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor today.
Boy, why you look so mashed up like clothes at the washer?
No, boy, just a hard day, boy.
Hard day? What happened? The breakfast lady ran out of tuna and gritty.
We need to start joking about everything, you know. This serious, boy. This real serious, boy.
Boy, what's serious? Tell me.
All right, well, today, boss gave us boy one big contract. And nobody else get a chance and nobody say nothing.
Boy, you know that ain't right. You know government contracts ain't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, but nobody's saying nothing. Boss man just tell people to sign the papers. Then he send me to meet his boy downtown and collect this envelope.
You need to tell somebody. You need to become a whistleblower.
You know I's a real man, but I never blow no whistle. I be drunk all my life and junk, you know.
No way. A whistleblower is someone who tells people what they see when they see something wrong happening at work.
But I ain't no whistleblower and I ain't no snitch. I still white there, you know.
But ain't no gotta do is call Crime Stoppers, or you could text them from inside the Crack Crime Bahamas app. They don't ask about you, and your call goes straight through to Miami, so nobody know you is. And if you text, your message get mixed up like Kong Salad.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
The Grand Bahama News is available every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian. You can buy your local paper at Freeport Convenience Stores, Western Bakery, De Gregory's Fine Foods, and Bellevue Gifts. Now is the time to reach your Grand Bahama market with affordable packages, including print and digital. Call GB News sales representative Kavandre at 822-6717 or message him on WhatsApp for ad rates. Classified ads are now available every Tuesday as well. Keep up with everything Grand Bahamian every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian.
Hey man, long time.
Girl, what going on? I hear women in Bahamas can't pass on citizenship to them own children.
We had one jokey government halfway try to change it with a referendum in 2016, and 2 administrations since then ain't even bother.
I shocked you going back to live like that. What are you supposed to do with your own children if they ain't Bahamian?
Suffer. Luckily, Equality Bahamas been working on this issue, and I hear they ramping up for a full campaign.
Good. Y'all need action. The Bahamas like to play top class, but have all these to deal with a long time.
You right. We gotta get it together. Let me go online right now and tell my people share tiny.cc/nationality. We need the same rights as men to pass on citizenship to our children.
Yeah, get on our level.
1 in every 4 Bahamians face some level of food insecurity. AML Foods remains committed to helping, and this year, through our Feed 5,000 program, will donate $30,000 to provide holiday meals to families in need. But we need your help. From November 4th to December 18th, show your support and donate at the register at Solomon's, Costrite, Fresh Market, Exuma Markets, or Domino's Pizza in Nassau, Grand Bahama, or Exuma. Together, let's put an end to hunger.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Good morning and welcome back to On the Clock on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. In moments, we will be transitioning to the House of Assembly for the words of the... I'm going to read the caption from this article today, or there's a picture. I haven't found the article yet. Again, forgive me. I was extremely late coming to the studio this morning. I had to pick up my car and run the last mile to get here on time. National Independent Secretariat Chair Leslie Miller Bryce, Fort Charlotte MP Alfred Sayers, Minister of Education and Technical and Vocational Training Glenys Hannah Martin, and Governor General Dame Cynthia Pratt, with students of the International School of Business, Entrepreneurship and Technology who participated in a national time capsule concealment ceremony yesterday. The time capsule contains special items pertaining to the history and culture of the Bahamas and is meant to be unearthed during the Diamond Jubilee Independence Celebration in 2049. First of all, I want to say this. Let this critique in no way diminish the contributions of the young people, the students who participated in this exercise. However, where can we find a list or a display of the items that have been included in the time capsule, along with a write-up about what they are and why they were selected? They're not just their importance historically, but their importance to the future, right? Like, why is it that these are the elements of our lived experience that we have determined to put in the capsule? And what is the criteria for selection? And who made the selection? And when was it made, right? Here's another point. I didn't know that Her Excellency Leslie Miller Bryce was still the National Independent Secretariat Chair. I remember clearly her responding to reporters and indicating that they were asking the wrong person about the expenditure report for the Golden Jubilee Independent Secretariats. And then, of course, for the 51st Independence celebration, she gave a beautiful and well-written statement, right? And so I just wonder, is the expenditure report for the Golden Jubilee going to be added to this capsule? We are left to speculate in the absence of information that could have been easily provided to the public. It's almost as if this is not a national collective exercise. It's also disappointing that we don't see members of the opposition present, because perhaps if there was a member of the opposition present for a moment, we could imagine ourselves as a part of this exercise. And while the Governor General will ever be known as Mother Pratt, she is the King's representative. And we must not ever forget it. And as much as we love Mother Pratt, we can never let a misnomer, the misinformation, the lie exist that she is our representative. She represents the King. Anyway, let's go to The Guardian. I'm going to start reading from the article as we await our transition. The headline, Indicted. Bahamians charged as U.S. indictment unsealed. Accused in mass drug operations. Now, to the texters and other people, you know why I keep alleged? Because remember when an MP behavior was in question, and then they were, right? And everybody said, you have to say alleged. You cannot assume guilt. In this system, we presume innocence. Yeah. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Ms. Greene, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, thank you, sir. How you doing?
All right. Not only the Governor General, Ms. Greene, all the politicians too, all the MPs too. I mean, Her Majesty's loyal opposition. His Majesty's government, His Majesty's opposition.
Yeah, but that's why I said at least we could imagine, right, that we are being represented.
But one of the stories that I wanted to talk about, Ms. Greene, that's losing any interest is that new dialysis place I saw them open up the other day.
Okay.
And it troubled me because, they said that they were able to open that place because of COVID testing, that they used to do COVID testing, right? And after the COVID testing, they were able to open a dialysis center.
Right, so, okay, I got you. I understand.
And the thing about it, what troubles me, Ms. Greene, is that why couldn't our government have that? You know what I mean? Why is it that the dialysis unit by the hospital has so many complaints? Why couldn't we have like a unit like that? Because I mean, that's a very small building. Why we couldn't have something like that? Individuals didn't have to venture way, because some people might live near to dialysis place where they go now.
Because of the nature of the treatment. It's like I go to a chiropractor sometimes, but they're on the other side of town. So by the time I get back home, I need to go back to the chiropractor.
So what I'm trying to say is that's why they should have a dialysis unit in every clinic, in every constituency.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying,
Absolutely. No, I understand.
That little place that opened up the other day, they should be able to have one of those in every clinic, in every constituency. There's no reason why something like that can't exist. And we know the reason why it exists is because of, people trying to benefit off of certain things. Whenever you see there's a lack in a government, in government, Ms. Greene, that should be a service that the government provides, but there's a lack.
Yeah.
Look to see if there's somebody else picking up the slack, Ms.
Okay.
Greene. And what's also troubling me,
okay, hold on. I can let you, hold on. I can let you continue.
Go ahead.
Stick a pin. Let's be careful in this dynamic, right? It very easily appears that the primary consideration for the opening and operation of a type of medical service is an economic consideration, and not necessarily the need within the country, right?
No, Mom. And the thing about
Hold on. But let's just say that we're not going to say that every doctor is only operating a service to make money, right? We're not going to say that.
No, we ain't going to say that.
Okay, the second thing is this, because I think hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
I think you made an excellent point, and it draws us back to the same conversation I'm having. Like, the greatest threat to the Bahamas is an administrative crisis, because this is a question of the allocation of national resources.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And one of the questions is, what is the rationale for the percentage of national resources that are allocated to political public relations exercises? And how do you justify, for instance, Chester Cooper got up a couple of weeks ago to tell us about the $10 million they had to spend to fight bad press, but still hasn't told us how they fought the bad press, and then referenced a video that could not possibly be a part. Like, even if you spent some money, like, how much could you spend in 2 weeks?
It couldn't have been like that video couldn't have been the reason for it, because there wasn't enough time passed for that.
Right. And so then we say, what is the rationale for the division of national resources? How is it that you have decided that you're going to allocate resources to things like hosting a group of national singers in London at one of the fanciest hotels in London, while people in New Providence in the hospital are complaining and have fears that the dialysis machines are being contaminated by sewage and fecal matter?
Talk about priorities, Ms. Greene.
Thank you, sir. Look here.
And more trouble, Ms. Greene, to hear he was talking about the current Minister of Health, right?
Yes.
I think Dr. Sands held that post too, the current Minister of Health, as if when he was the Minister of Health, he did so much.
Listen, sir, I want you to stick a pin.
He's saying, not the same exact thing, but in terms of lack of failing to do your duty properly, the same thing could be pointed at him. But when he spoke about the kitchen being gutted in the hospital, and that how everyone was getting box meals and box lunch and box breakfast and different things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought to myself, well, where is box food coming from? Is someone being contracted to supply the hospital now with food? And because I've been asking the question to Ms. Greene, who is supplying the school breakfast program? Is that also a contract that's being issued out to government, because there's a better way?
Listen, hold on.
To deal with that, you know what I mean?
Yes, thank you. I gotta go, but I want you to know 2 points I'm gonna address as soon as you go. The first is, last week, one of the articles we read in the paper was the IMF recommending that the government reveal the names of the owners of the companies that are awarded contracts. Imagine that the IMF had to, when they say recommend, they urge your boss to compel them to do it. Remember that? Anyway, the IMF had to recommend to the government that they should reveal to the public, make public, the names that get state contracts. The IMF had to recommend that to them. What is the status of the beneficial ownership bill? Was that just a public relations exercise to convince an external force that you are acting? The second point I want to make, do you remember when Dr. Sands, in his capacity as chairman of the FNM, used the term medical apartheid to describe the state of healthcare in the Bahamas? Anyway, we have to go to a break. On the other side of the break, I think we are going to connect to our, well, we're going to see. Hope.
Hey, man. Long time.
Girl, what going on? I hear women in Bahamas can't pass on citizenship to them own children.
We had one jokey government halfway try to change it with a referendum in 2016, and 2 administrations since then ain't even bother.
I shocked you going back to live like that. What are you supposed to do with your own children if they ain't Bahamian?
Suffer. Luckily, Equality Bahamas been working on this issue, and I hear they ramping up for a full campaign.
Good. Y'all need action. The Bahamas like to play top class, but have all these old issues that the rest of the region done deal with a long time.
You right, we gotta get it together. Let me go online right now and tell my people share tiny.cc/nationality. We need the same rights as men to pass on citizenship to our children.
Yeah, get on our level.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
They have two 13 by 23 semi-high gloss ceramic tiles in stock and selling for $214 a square foot before VAT. Now, one of these, namely CB2093, has a unique design that gives the illusion of laid stone, the unevenness of the stone sidewalks of Europe. But it's only an illusion. While they look like stone, they offer much more continuity. I'd asked Pinder if he'd been to How to Talk Good School while he was away. Anyhow, come to Pinder Town and have a look at his new collection, starting at $214 a square foot before VAT.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Good morning and welcome back to On the Clock with Erin Greene on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. It appears as if the House of Assembly is still engaged in a bit of housekeeping. So I'm going to continue reading from the article in today's Nassau Guardian. Top of the fold, indicted. Bahamians charged as U.S. indictment unsealed. 11 Bahamians, including a senior police officer, a police sergeant, and a defense force officer, and 2 Colombians have been charged with conspiracy to import cocaine into the United States, possession and use of firearms, and firearms conspiracy, according to an indictment filed in New York. The indictment, which was on Chief Superintendent Elvis Curtis, officer in charge of the Airport Division, Royal Bahamas Police Force Sergeant Prince Albert Simonet, who works closely with Curtis, and Royal Bahamas Defense Force Chief Petty Officer Darren Roker, as conspirators who helped facilitate the transshipment of tons of cocaine from South America through the Bahamas and ultimately into the United States. In a statement last night, Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernandez said that Curtis and Roker were arrested in Florida yesterday and will be transported to federal courts in New York for trial. He said Simonet, a pensioner of the RBPF, has been suspended from duty effective immediately. The indictment alleges that corrupt police officers and government officials undermined the work and progress, and we turn to page 5, of Operation Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, which was launched in 1982 to police drug trafficking operations in the southern Bahamas. Quote, the increase in cocaine flow through the Bahamas has been a direct result of drug-fueled corruption that has infected various Bahamian institutions, close quotes, the indictment states. Quote, more specifically, since at since at least 2021, corrupt high-ranking members of the RBPF and other Bahamian government officials have worked with Colombian and Bahamian drug traffickers to facilitate the receipt, protection, and safe passage of massive cocaine shipments through the airports and ports of the Bahamas. Quote, these corrupt RBPF and Bahamian government officials support the drug trade into the United States at every turn. From the airports, airstrips, and ports in the island chain that serve as points of entry for the cocaine shipments into the Bahamas and onto maritime vessels that are then used to transit the cocaine through shipping routes from the northernmost points of the Bahamas into the United States, close quotes. I want to stick a pin here and say this. I just feel like, okay, watch this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some time to frame it properly. Because if we take care of the pennies, the pounds will take care of themselves, you know. Here we go. Quote, these corrupt RBPF and Bahamian government officials support the drug trade into the United States at every turn, from the airports, airstrips, and ports in the island chain that serve as points of entry for the cocaine shipments into the Bahamas and onto maritime vessels that are then used to transit the cocaine through shipping routes from the northernmost points of the Bahamas into the United States, close quotes. The indictment alleges that Curtis, who supervises airport locations throughout the Bahamas, including Lyndon Pindling International Airport, the country's largest airport, abused his position in exchange for, quote, cocaine-fueled bribes from drug traffickers and their confederates, close quotes. It is alleged facilitate the transportation of narcotics and drug trafficking proceeds by, among other things, providing safe passage for the traffickers and their cocaine loads through Nassau Airport and elsewhere in the Bahamas, close quotes. The indictment alleges that in or about September 2024, Curtis told a trafficker that, quote, in exchange for $2 million USD, a high-ranking Bahamian politician, whom Curtis named, would authorize the assistance and involvement of Bahamian law enforcement officials, including RBPF officers, in facilitating cocaine shipments, close quotes. According to the indictment, Simonet, who worked closely with Curtis and Colombian drug traffickers, abused his position to, quote, facilitate the transportation of narcotics and drug trafficking proceeds via air and maritime routes by, among other things, accepting bribes for streamlining customs clearance for aircraft transporting cocaine into the Bahamas. Close quotes. I'm going to stick a pin there. Text. Erin, I used to think we live in Gotham and really needed a Batman to get justice on this island, for real, Erin. But after all these headlines, this past week alone, I realized that this is actually the asylum, and we literally all just insane sheep saying and doing like we crazy. Road to 51, going great, march on, bananas. We on the road to 52, right? We on the road to 52, cousin. I appreciate your text very, very much. I noted earlier this week that the PHA spokesperson said they've looked at the numbers and the highest cost in public health care is dialysis. I'd said this from when the new hospital was announced. And it is doubly curious now after the spokesperson's statement, why isn't dialysis one of the primary services planned for the new hospital? What are we doing? Are we protecting a private enterprise? Well, in the midst of the 16 days of global activism, I will carve out a space to talk about what I think are some of the reasons that women and girls in maternity and pregnancy and births were prioritized in this new, what they call specialized clinic. Oh boy. Roca, are we going to go back to the article indicted? Roca, the chief petty officer in the RBDF, allegedly facilitated maritime drug trafficking, quote, by using his official position to obtain sensitive information about law enforcement operations by the U.S. and alert drug traffickers in exchange for bribe payments, close quotes. Quote, although OPBAT missions regularly intercept cocaine and other drug shipments headed to the United States, those seizures pale in comparison to the scope of the drug trade through the Bahamas, which is in part enabled by corrupt RBPF and Bahamian officials, close quotes. The indictment reads. Okay, I've got 2 minutes left. I do want to read through some of these texts, and then I want to take 30 seconds to emphasize a couple of things. I think the greatest threat to the Bahamas is an administrative crisis, and then also a profound collective and individual lack of empathy driven by financial and psychological and physical health crises, right? I think those are the two biggest threats to our country. We're going to die because of more dollars than sense of self, sense of place, sense of belonging, sense of community. That's what's going to kill us. All right, let's go to the text line. Good morning. While I understand that caller's concerns about the convenience of dialysis centers, the setup of any medical facility, much less a highly specialized one, is expensive. Plus, you need trained staff to operate it and care for patients. I do think that they could take that travel budget and allocate monies to fixing the PMH dialysis unit and at least subsidizing private dialysis care. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do to extract national resources to ensure that they are diverted to where they are needed most. Including, anyway, maybe I just jealous. Maybe I wanted an invitation to fly to London to go and watch Bahamians perform at a fancy place in London and then watch them go and stay at a fancy place in London on the people's dime. One more. I hear you produce a couple more texts. Erin, like that commercial for equality say, we trying to play world class and have all these problems. I just saying, Miss Greene used to have the worst experience on the road, so what I do, give them bad drivers. Just give them the Perry. The person said, no, everybody is having a rough experience on the road. Some people are not acknowledging it. Some people are turning that rage into bullyism. And so what they do is they pretend like they're not being bullied and then they go bully someone else. Yeah, that's what's happening. If you ain't see it, that's because you ain't watching nothing. And on the road, you supposed to watch everything except your phone. Everything except your phone. Anyway, guys, Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri is up next. Again, the House is still engaged in a lot of housekeeping matters, which supports my position that the biggest threat to the Bahamas is an administrative crisis. Have a great day. Stay tuned.